Well, you all got your wish. Doc Rivers was just fired by the LA Clippers. I did not see this coming because even though he blew another 3-1 lead, we already knew he had a habit of doing that. Maybe the Clippers saw the drama coming out of their locker room and decided that Doc's best trait, that he connects well with players, wasn't working anymore either. I gotta be honest, I would not have fired Doc Rivers, but in this video, I'll explain why the Clippers did fire him and who my pick is to be their next coach. Hey, it's Casey. Welcome to AM Hoops. Hit subscribe and notification bells. Coming out with 5 videos per week, always dropping at 5 Eastern, with the exception of this week because it's 6 videos, because we have this breaking news about Doc Rivers. If you want to connect with me, follow me on Twitter at Casey Kiernan. I'm always there answering questions, just talking during games, or hit me up on Instagram at AM Hoops. The truth is, this is what happens when you get as good as the Clippers are right now. You have big expectations and you fail. The case to fire Doc Rivers, pretty damn strong, because they lost in the second round. And for the 5th time in 7 seasons, Doc lost a series lead. He waited way too long to adjust against the Nuggets. Denver had a 120 offensive rating with Montrezl Harrell on the floor compared to a 106 offensive rating against Ivica Zubac. Jokic didn't just score, he passed at will against Trez, but Doc left Trez in anyway. Was it because he didn't see that Trez was a horrible matchup against Jokic? Or was it because he is too friendly with his players and he knows Trez is about to be a free agent, you can't bench him now? Whatever it was, that was just one example about how Doc killed his team. So just to be clear, Doc Rivers is the scapegoat here because he's not the only reason they lost to Denver. But when you have high expectations and you lose so shockingly, someone has to be the fall guy. To me, the blame, first and foremost, goes on Kawhi Leonard. In Game 7, Kawhi was 6 for 22 from the field, 1 for 11 in the second half with no free throws. I know Paul George let him down, so did the coaching, but Kawhi choked. What else do you call blowing a 3-1 series lead or double-digit leads in multiple games? A choke. He allowed Jamal Murray to score 40 in that Game 7. Doc Rivers is taking the hit by being fired, but his players let him down too. Now, a lot of you have been saying to fire Doc Rivers, but my question is, who are they going to hire instead? Doc will be out of work for like 2 seconds because he's a coach that guys want to play for. He's a big reason Kawhi and PG are there to begin with. The truth is, he won a title in Boston, and having Tom Thibodeau as an assistant running that defense was a big reason why. Maybe Doc just needed to shake up his coaching staff. But firing Doc was a horrible idea. There is so much on the line next year, and without a better coach to hire instead, letting Doc go could ruin the franchise. The worst scenario is Kawhi leaving, and this opens the door for that. If this franchise looks chaotic, they risk Kawhi leaving after next season. I mean, think about it. What are Kawhi's priorities here? Is it winning? Not really, or he'd be in San Antonio or Toronto. Kawhi, I think, wants to win and be in a city and on a team that he feels comfortable with. If the Clippers become dysfunctional, they risk losing Kawhi Leonard. They already gave up their future trading for Paul George. If Kawhi and PG leave without a title, the Clippers will be set back a decade. Doc Rivers now will be the top coaching candidate out there. I think that the Sixers or the Pacers would hire him in 2 seconds. But for the Clippers, they have to look for someone who has what Doc didn't have, which is recent playoff success. Sam Cassell is on his staff. He's a popular name. He's never been a coach, though, before. Chauncey Billups is a guy who also has been rumored for jobs recently. He's also inexperienced. I think Jeff Van Gundy or Mark Jackson would be a horrible idea. So would Jason Kidd. That means out of all the candidates out there, Ty Lue is probably going to be the next Clippers head coach. I know it's not a sexy hire, but really he checks all the boxes they're looking for. He has won a title recently with a superstar, and it was against the Warriors. Next year, the Dubs will be back, and having Lue's knowledge against them would be a big advantage. He also has knowledge of the Clippers players and front office because he's on the staff now. Hiring the right coach is crucial, and I do think that Ty Lue is the right guy. After that, the roster needs some tweaking too. A recent report said Kawhi Leonard is the only untouchable guy on this roster, and yes, that includes Paul George. Here are the 3 trades the Clippers could make to flip PG for an upgrade. First, Paul George for Victor Oladipo straight up. These two were already traded for each other, but this could be an upgrade for both teams. The Pacers return a guy who led them to multiple Eastern Conference Finals. The Clippers get that point guard they need, who is a beast defensively. This is a risk for LA because Vic is coming off an injury, but the fit would be amazing if he's healthy. Trade number 2, Paul George and Lou Williams for Joel Embiid, Zaire Smith, and Matisse Thybulle. The Clippers let Trez walk and welcome Joel Embiid as their new center. This makes the Clippers and the Sixers better because Philly puts 2 elite shooters around Ben Simmons. They already have Embiid's replacement on the roster in Al Horford. Thybulle fits the Clippers' defensive mindset, but Philly is getting a two-way wing defender back in PG-13. This trade would break the internet and give both teams the shakeup they need. Finally, Paul George for Nikola Vucevic. The Magic do this to get a higher ceiling player who's proven that with his own team, decent teammates, and a good coach, he can compete for the East. PG's trade value is super low right now after failing in the bubble playoffs, but if he has a resurgent year in Orlando, the Magic would hope to re-sign him. The Clippers do this to get the big man that they lacked in this postseason. Vooch is an upgrade over Montrezl Harrell to close games, and he would have been the difference in that Game 7 against Denver this year. Vucevic, not a flashy name like Embiid or Paul George, but I think he could win in LA. The next big decision for the Clippers front office is what to do with free agents. The Clippers are going to lose a ton if they don't re-sign some guys. Marcus Morris, JaMychal Green, and Montrezl Harrell are all free agents. The good news is the Clips can go over the cap to re-sign their own guys, but I would let Trez go if he gets a big offer. The only teams with cap space this coming off season are the Hawks, the Hornets, the Pistons, the Heat, and the Knicks. And if he's offered like $20 million per year, LA should be like, good luck. I know he had a death in the family, but the truth is, Trez, even in a contract year, was bad all playoff long, especially defensively against the Denver Nuggets. But if Trez really wanted to stay, I would offer him a short-term 1+1 deal for around $30 million and let him be a free agent again in 2021. Instead, their priority should be Marcus Morris and JaMychal Green because of how versatile they are defensively and that they both are above average from 3. So, Doc Rivers was the scapegoat for losing in the second round here, but I don't feel that bad for him because he had been the Clippers head coach for 8 years. Plenty of chances, plenty of talent, and he didn't get it done. Now, I don't blame Doc as much as a lot of you do for the failures that the Clippers had in the bubble, but I do get that someone had to be the fall guy. It wasn't going to be any of their big-time players, especially Kawhi Leonard. But whoever they hire next has a huge job and a lot of pressure on their hands because this next year, to me, is the biggest year in Clippers history. Support AM Hoops and click subscribe. Don't miss a daily NBA video.